we can possibly live to 140.
I know that we are on the cusp of revolutionizing the term longevity. The DNA would get corrupted because after 60 divisions, the DNA was exposed.
How does alcohol and longevity play? And I'm sure everyone wants to know.
30 to 40. There've been so many cases of cardiovascular disease, so many cases of early diabetes, so many cases of hypertension.
So many diet fads. We've got keto, we've got carnivore, we've got intermittent fasting for that matter.
When suddenly I realized that our company had actually gone broke, I had driven it broke.
Mario Sequeira, businessman, distiller, wine expert, and longevity coach. Is there anything you would like to add to your brief introduction?
No, somebody who loves living, maybe.
Tell me first, before we start, where can people find you? And most importantly, your book, The Roadmap to Longevity. I got it right here.
It's yes. Thank you. So I can be found on www.mariosequeira.org. That is MARIOSEQUEIRA.
Yes, I will. I'll put it somewhere here.
Okay, perfect. And my Insta handle is Your Destiny.
Don't worry about it. It'll be still down here.
Yeah.
And links to this awesome book in the description below.
Thank you. So a roadmap to longevity is currently available. One on Amazon, of course, Amazon.in,
Okay.
and then it's available in most of the good bookstores in Delhi, in Mumbai, in Chennai as well.
Okay.
And with time, it will be available all over the country, and of course, Goa.
Awesome. Tell me first, since we are talking about the roadmap to longevity, what do you mean by longevity?
So you see, when I talk of longevity, I know that we are on the cusp of revolutionizing the term longevity, where even the 90-year-olds are probably going to look like the 40. But that is still in the future. When I talk of longevity, I talk of the very simple, easy to do things that we so often overlook, that could actually give us somewhere in the vicinity of 20 or 30 high quality years, which we would normally have not gone. So my longevity is more in terms of additional years, but high quality years.
Fair. In the book, you go over that we can possibly live to 140.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Does it sound plausible for now? Does it sound plausible in the near future? Does it sound plausible in the distant future, according to you?
So see, no building has been built top down, right? So all this while, we have lived a happy-go-lucky, a merry life, and then we turn 60 and 70 and we start thinking in terms of longevity. There was this time when we had this scientist, Hayflick by name, and Hayflick had come out with the theory that our DNA could divide about 40 to 60 times. And if you went by that theory, then the maximum longevity of life of the human being was set at 120 years. For fact, very few have lived beyond 120. Right? But then came this great Nobel laureate, Elizabeth Blackburn. And Elizabeth Blackburn came out with the theory of telomeres. And she said, so telomeres is basically this little thing that carries our DNA. And she said that the DNA would get corrupted because after 60 divisions, the DNA was exposed. But if you could find a way of extending the telomeres, then the DNA would not get exposed, and it could go on dividing practically indefinitely. Now, how could you extend this telomere size? By having an enzyme called telomerase. But if you have telomerase. Telomerase is a carcinogen. You end up with cancer. But telomerase is generated by our body. So if you are happy, for example, if your body signals that you want to live longer because you're happy, you have stuff to do, you're committed to somebody, uh, you live longer. Your telomeres just get redone. So you can extend it beyond 120 to 140. That's the
Si-
theory.
Since you mentioned happy, so definitely happiness is one of the points or one of the plugs required for longevity,
Yes, for sure. For sure.
right? I'll digress a little bit. You are a well-known wine expert. So when you're a wine expert, you're obviously a wine connoisseur.
Thank you.
So how does alcohol and longevity play? And I'm sure everyone wants to know.
So there are various theories, right, of alcohol and longevity. The reality is that for as long as we know it, the monks of yesteryear have been searching for this elixir to life, and that was in alcohol. It was in the fermentation of herbs. It was in the fermentation of beer, malts and barley and whatever. And for sure, alcohol in moderation, I believe, is very good. It makes one happy. It sets you sort of free, as long as it's in moderation. And then, of course, let's not forget about resveratrol, which comes with red wine. And there's this whole theory that resveratrol also is good for the heart and longevity.
It is, and I know quite a few people who have a lot of red wine due to the resveratrol, but there is a point of diminishing returns.
True, true. You're absolutely right. But there's a lot that comes with red wine, and a lot that comes with the skin of the grape, beyond resveratrol, like various antioxidants which also come with it. So it all helps in building up of the cells.
I've read your book. You go into much detail about in your roadmap to longevity. But in a nutshell, if one wanted to live to 140, what is a good age to start with the steps required to be getting there for a long
See,
life?
I would say 140 would be a bonus. Okay, let's be
Right,
realistic about life.
right.
So the first thing we would look at is how do we get to 100 unscathed? Uh, how do we get to 100 happy, uh, in good health, and if I want to say happy, wealthy, and nice? Okay. Once we can get to that, and the best way to do that is by keeping your cells as young as possible while your chronological age keeps ticking.
Okay.
Once you get to 100, there is this theory by a researcher from Sapienza. Her name is Elisabetta Barbi. And she has come out with this theory that once you get to 105, every year beyond that is a 50% chance that you'll live and a 50% chance that you will die. So what does that actually mean according to her? She has been theorizing that man could actually be immortal. So the idea is to get to that threshold of
Threshold.
100. So
So
they say
on
you
your,
get through the treacherous 90s into the hundreds.
so on this channel, I've got people ranging right from the age of 20 to they have a median age of around 35 to 45, and right to people in their 60s to 70s. So who should start planning their long life? At what would be a good age?
So you will be surprised. And let me congratulate you for all the good work that you keep doing with your the people who come to you with regard to weight loss, or with regard to various things, and I've seen the magic that you have worked with them.
Thank you.
But the reality is that uh, among the people who are in the age group of 30 to 40, there've been so many cases of cardiovascular disease, so many cases of early diabetes, so many cases of hypertension, and then you move on to youngsters who are 45 and 55 who are getting strokes and heart attacks, basically because they're taking on so much of stress that even though their chronological age is low, their biological age just goes for a toss. So we need to start understanding about longevity. If you can start it at 25, at 30, then you're at a fantastic age to understand. The unfortunate part is when we are 25 and we are 30, we think we know it all. We can do it all. We are too strong and nothing will come in our way. But you see, there are so many curveballs that life throws our way that it gets challenging.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Because I think in today's world, people are already having metabolic disorders, as you said, at a young age 40, 45, 50.
True.
And then they are sort of trying to play catch up,
Right.
if they are in
Correct.
time, that is. They're
Correct.
trying to play catch up. So I would guess as early as possible would be a great time to plan for a long life.
Yes. Yes. But as
So
I
if
said,
so if at 25, pick up this book. But sorry, I interrupted you.
no, as I said, you see, we take it for granted that nothing can come in our way when we are 25 and when we are 30, because it's in the 30s, the 40s, that our body actually starts saying, okay, we've done our job, we procreated enough, there's nothing more to sort of live for, so now let's start sort of uh, entrophing, okay, or dystrophing, whichever is the right way. We self-destruct. And that's when our biological age starts pushing up. The idea is that we need to keep ourselves young, and we need to understand that first. And the faster we understand that, and the faster we remember that, the better it is.
Exactly. And it's another thing I would like to add, even if you're at your 40s, 45s, 50s, whatever your age is, and you discover that you are pre-diabetic, early diabetic, it is best to start taking steps to improve your health, because all is not lost.
Absolutely.
Diabetes is a perfect example, because if you take early steps, you can improve your insulin sensitivity and save the cells of your pancreas which secrete the insulin. If you take time dilly-dallying on it, it will result in the destructions of the cells which secrete insulin from in your pancreas. Yeah,
So
so it
true.
is important that you take as early steps as possible. And just a small gist. What would you suggest? How does a person go about planning for a long life?
When you start off slow, and then you pick the pace up. With life, unfortunately, because we are young, we start off young and we start off virile and we start off strong. We start strong and then we wither away along the way. But if we could just say, fine, from the 20s to the 30s, we go strong. But then after that, if we can control the stress levels that we undertake, uh, I think we can easily come to 60 without too much of a problem. And then from 60s, we we just maintain ourselves and move on. Maintain ourselves how? One, keeping stress low. Two, having whatever it takes to keep our bodies primed, to keep our DNA primed. Three, having a sense of belongingness and being happy and connected to society. I think these are the three most important things that can keep us going. Of course, the primary thing is what you deal with a hell of a lot is weight loss. So if we can keep our weight under control, because with obesity come a hell of a lot of other problems, I think we're on a way to a good century.
So, Mario, you yourself have been through quite a weight loss journey. Tell
Yes,
me
I
about
have.
it. Tell me about it.
Ah, Rohan, you are the master at all this. You have yourself brought so many people down the journey of weight loss, and I've seen how what you made such what I may call fatsos like I was into such handsome young brats. What do you want me to tell
No,
you?
no, but it is important. See, I did not
Okay,
help you.
you
One.
keyed me up. You keyed me up. I will tell you. I will tell you my story. So you see, it all started a long time ago. As I said, life throws. I'll be brief, but at the same time, it'll be a little long. Life throws curveballs one's way, and I was 117 kilos, uh, sitting down in the club lounge at the Hilton in Janakpuri in Delhi, when suddenly I realized that our company had actually gone broke. I had driven it broke. We were cheated very badly by our vice president, and I was in a state of shock. Okay. Uh, I had to check on we had children that were small. I needed to recoup and recuperate, and I had to get things under control. For that, forget about the emotions because I was quite shattered and almost in tears and whatever. But that's beside the point. So there was this time when I had to sit down at this club lounge where I wasn't even sure if I could pay the bill, with a pen and a paper to list out the assets that I could use to sort of revive the company. I had three assets. One was my friends, one was my family, and one was myself. Now, we had no money, obviously, so that wasn't one of the assets. My friends, most of them were business friends, and they all withered away. My personal friends are still there with me, but there's only that much that you can count on your personal friends to do because they're also busy with their own stuff, right? And yes, they are there to help, but you know how it is. And as far as my family was concerned, they thought that I had just plundered away or just I wasn't capable. And so I had lost the whole family sort of wealth. As far as I was concerned, because that's what I was the last asset that I was left with, uh, I was 170 kilos, left myself open to be rogered by all the possible sicknesses that would come my way. Because when you're 117, you're bloody obese and you're susceptible to every possible thing. So the only thing I knew was that I had to lose weight. Now, it's not that I hadn't tried earlier, because I did. I used to swim in the swimming pool, and I used to swim for an hour non-stop. Uh, we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool very close to us. Every day, 1 hour non-stop. Get out, and I would eat like a pig. Uh, until somebody one day told me, he said, you're swimming a hell of a lot, but you aren't losing weight because you're swimming too slowly." So I said, fine. I used to swim like I was chased by a shark, literally zooming through the pool, up and down, 1 hour nonstop. Get out of the pool, again, eat. I would lose a kilo or two and then put on a kilo or two or three back. I didn't lose weight. I went to a gym. I still remember this guy, Andrew by name. He was a nice, burly young man, very affable. But when he saw me, he sort of looked at me, an element of scorn on his face, and he said, "Sir, how can I help you?" So I said, "I want to lose weight." So he looked sort of completely amused, and he said, "Okay, let's see what we can do. Pay your membership fees." He said, "Let's see what we can do," or something like, "Let's see what we can do with you, guy. I mean, probably we're not going to be able to do much." But anyway, I joined the gym. He got me to do a few sit-ups. I started off, I could do only two or three of them. But by the time I finished, or rather, I still go to the gym, but by the time a year was down, I could do about 60, 70 sit ups besides lifting a couple of weights, a good couple of weights. But I didn't lose weight. Again, I would go back home and eat and make merry, and I just didn't lose weight until I used to be a heavy smoker. Okay, I used to be a chain smoker, and I tried desperately to give up smoking. I couldn't, but I studied how to give up smoking. I studied the whole theory of smoking and why it got people addicted, and sort of understood how I could give it up, and then I just gave it up. So I decided to study this thing called obesity, and to study why people like me, who struggled so much to give up weight, to lose weight, who exercised so much, still couldn't lose weight. I lost 27 kilos, Rohan. I am today 27 kilos lighter, but 30 years younger.
So when you lose 27 kilos from around where you were, it's like losing 25% of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a wonderful journey, I tell you. And you know, it's not that again I cut off my social life. I didn't. Because when I was on this weight loss journey, I was the national president for SCOL International, which is a hotelier travel and association meet, travel and hospitality association. I was so that was the national president. Uh, in between that period or before that, I was the Goa chapter president for SCOL International. We party, we drink, we entertain, and we are entertained. I used to be a member of the chain, the Rotecios, I was the vice chancellor of the chain, the Rotecios in Goa, which is a foodies club, and we pride ourselves in what we cook and what we serve. Uh, Simultaneously, we are importers of wines and beers and spirits, and so my life is about entertainment and being entertained. I didn't cut it down. I just knew what I wanted to eat and what I didn't want to eat.
So how
And
did
I lost
you
27
how
kilos.
did you plan your nutritional strategy?
My nutritional strategy was very simple, Rohan. Uh, so I knocked off sweets because I honestly feel that they are the worst things that one can be having. If ever there was a poison, then its name would have been sugar. So I knocked off sweets. When I say I knocked off, okay, let me put it again. Let me put it differently. Uh, I used to eat less, but I used to make it all up on what I used to call a cheat day, and my cheat day was once a week. Okay, so first thing that I did was I changed my cheat day from being a cheat day to a spa day. So there was no putting on whatever I'd lost in that one day, but I'd sort of give myself a prize for having had a good week by giving myself a good massage in the spa or go to the sauna or go whatever. Okay. Uh, then I knocked off sugars. I cut down on carbs. I cut down my drinking, my alcohol intake. I would effectively decide whom I was going to eat with. I would decide who was worth me drinking with. I would decide that. And yes, I would eat a lot. Once in a while, I'd eat sweets as well, but it was only once in a while.
I think in the last 2 minutes, what you have spoken are some golden words. It is not about leaving out everything, but it is not about doing everything as well. I
True.
love your strategy where you used to have a cheat meal, and I honestly don't believe in cheat meals myself.
True.
I rather prefer to call them free meals because once one says cheat meal, it means everything happens. A free meal is
Correct.
one which is out from your plan, is not in your plan, but you're still strategizing your meal.
Yes.
It's you're not just going a free having a free for all, or you're having or playing it by
Binging on it.
ear. Yeah, or you're
Yes.
playing it by ear. You have a strategic plan because
Yes.
finally, when you go out for a meal, you're actually not going out to eat.
Correct.
You're going for the company. You're going to meet somebody probably.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
and the meal is just part of the meeting. It is not the meeting. The
Absolutely.
meeting is the other people you're with.
Yes. Very
Right?
true. In
And
fact,
and I love the strategy of replacing your cheat meal day with a spa day.
oh, it was lovely.
I
I
think
still
I
do
think
it.
it's
I do it.
it's it's a great replacement.
Yes. Yes.
It's a great replacement. Something I think a lot of people can also modify themselves in their lives, and they can utilize this awesome strategy.
Yeah, it can be a spa, it can be a walk in the park, it can be many things, whatever people like, minus food.
Yes, and basically you used everything to create a sustainable caloric deficit at the end of the day. And,
Absolutely.
and and the key is sustainable. When I say sustainable, I mean not the diet fads. We've got so many diet fads. We've got keto, we've got carnivore, we've got intermittent fasting for that matter. We've got a lot of things don't come to mind right now, but it is just that.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem if someone goes vegan because of ethical reasons, but I've got a problem if somebody goes vegan because it is the trend of the month. vegan this
True.
month and carnivore the next month, and then
Very
people are
true.
just roaming around in between places with trends. While the whole goal is to
True.
create a sustainable caloric deficit. How you would create a caloric deficit would probably be different from how I create, and it would be different of how somebody, let's say, a person Y would create.
No, absolutely. I think each of us has a different body and has a different thing that gets us fatter or thinner or makes us lose weight. And by the way, if I may just add,
Yes,
where we are off course completely is when we talk about diets, because we only talk about diet in the sense of what we eat. But the actual meaning of the word diet is a way of life.
exactly, exactly,
So it's not about the food only. It's about how we eat our food, when we eat it, with whom we eat it, and what else
Ex-
do we do with our day.
exactly. And when we say diet, also it's synonymous with a caloric deficit. Doesn't is not necessarily a caloric deficit.
Absolutely,
As you
it's
said,
not a
it's your
caloric.
way of
Correct,
life. It's your
correct,
way of
correct,
life. You can
correct.
manipulate the calories in your diet to suit
Yes,
your needs. Whether you
absolutely.
would like to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight, or whatever it is.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is no single diet, what we call diet means a type of food or type of pattern of eating that has actually succeeded in the world, at least that I know of in the long term, other than time restricted feeding, which is not about a particular food, but diet wise, there are so many diets that have come as fads and gone, as you rightly said. And if they don't work, it's because they don't bring our bodies into homeostasis. If they were getting our bodies into a good state, why would our bodies not accept the diet? Why would our bodies just reject the diet and want to eat something else?
Exactly. I have a little bit to add on time restricted feeding because there's an interesting study. They had two groups of people. I think there were 30 people, if I'm not mistaken. One followed time restricted feeding, intermittent fasting, basically feeding through a 8 hour window. And,
Right.
and the other group had, by eating the same amount of calories, the calories were equated, eating ad libitum. So, whatever their plan was. In 3 months, the time restricted group had better results. But during the follow up after 1 year, the people eating ad libitum showed a better body composition.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
There's a study, I don't remember the study, I think it's Moore et al. Uh,
Right.
but this is what they found over a longer period of time. Then again, I am not against time restricted feeding. If it is convenient for you,
True. True.
there are a lot of people I know who cannot do without breakfast. There are a lot of
Yes.
people I know who don't like having a heavy dinner.
Right.
There are a lot of people I know who have never had breakfast in their lives. And in fact,
Right.
I'm a very good example myself. In my days of obesity, I never ate breakfast.
Is it?
I never
Oh,
ate breakfast.
interesting. So do you have breakfast now?
I eat breakfast compulsory because I need to shovel in the calories.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. But you know,
So,
one good thing about time restricted feeding, Rohan, if I may say,
yes, yes.
even if we don't sort of talk in terms of the intermittent fasting or whatever, or we just don't label it, uh, is if I say that I'm going to eat or I'm going to finish eating at say 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the evening, then it forces me
Yes,
not to eat
yes.
between 8 o'clock and say 10 o'clock, which may be my wake up time. If I
Agree.
didn't have this little restriction
This
on
rigid, yeah, the rigid
yes,
restriction.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
And
Agreed,
if somebody
agreed,
came
agreed,
to me with something which looked interesting, I would just put my hand to it and eat it up.
agreed, agreed,
So in that
agreed.
sense of the word, it does help
Yes,
to
it does
keep
help.
the
It
calories
does help
down.
putting that rigid thing, and if, especially if a person is obese.
Yeah, yeah,
By obese, I mean very over fat.
right.
Yeah, the best thing he can do is restrict calories. So if he is going to
Correct.
adhere to time restricted feeding for a period of time, a long period of time, it definitely is going to benefit a lot.
Correct. Because
Definitely,
it reduces
definitely,
number of calories that he's going to take
definitely.
in. Yeah,
Because if, whether he likes it or not, it is going to help him.
correct. Exactly,
Whether he likes it or
exactly.
not, for that
Yeah,
period of time, it is definitely going to help him.
yeah,
Because shedding of those extra pounds are the best thing he can do for himself.
correct.
I would like you to elaborate a little bit more on smoking. There are a lot of smokers who would like to quit. You yourself have written a wonderful book called Killing Me Softly.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It did very
Uh,
well for itself.
yes. You were a smoker yourself.
Yeah.
You quit smoking. There are a lot of people who would like to quit smoking, but if you tell them to buy and read a book, they rather light another ciggy. The easier way out. So,
True.
in a nutshell, in a couple of words, how can someone quit smoking?
So you see, when I wanted to give up smoking, I would binge smoke, saying that I'm going to stop smoking from tomorrow morning.
By
Smoke
binge
what?
smoke, I'm sorry to interrupt. By binge smoking, you would smoke how many cigarettes? Just so
No, no,
that the audience
so
has an idea.
so if I were to go for a party, a late night party, or a dance, I could smoke something like 100 cigarettes on that particular day. Otherwise, my average smoking would have been somewhere in the vicinity of 60 cigarettes a day. So it was pretty heavy actually. Uh, and believe me, Rohan, almost almost I won't be exaggerating. Almost every night when I went to sleep, I would say, I am not going to smoke from tomorrow. I would get up with my mouth burning and feeling sick, but within 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes of my waking up, I would have a cigarette in my mouth, and then I'd forgotten about all my night resolutions. Sometimes I would go out for a party, smoke, and promise myself this tonight is going to be the last night I'm going to smoke. So what is there if I smoke another two or three or four tonight? Let me just get my body so sick of the cigarette that it's going to help me to do away with it. It never worked. It never worked because we are addicted to the nicotine in the cigarette. And 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 let me tell you this. Okay, so there are many theories to this, but this is my thinking. Okay, uh, I used to smoke primarily because it was something like I would feel restless. I wanted the cigarette. And then I asked, okay, let me start off, Rohan, with my story of how I gave up smoking. Okay. So I was going through all these things of getting up in the morning and stopping and trying to stop and never being able to stay without a cigarette for a day. I even used to say not going to buy cigarette packets any longer. I used to send my chaps to. We had these small shops called gadas close to our house or to our office. Send the peon to the office to the gada, pick up one cigarette and come. That poor chap spent his whole day going up and down because of the number of cigarettes that I asked him to bring. Till I finally would tell him bring one packet, and that part got over. Then I have this sister of mine in Canada, Fatima. I told her at that time these nicotine patches had come out, and they were awfully expensive. But she was coming down to Goa from Vancouver, and I told her to get me some nicotine patches. So she said, "See, you are never going to stop smoking because I had tried earlier. But she said, in deference to your request, I will bring you some. Use them for about 2 weeks. I think she brought me 2 weeks quota. And the minute you finish 1 week without smoking, I will immediately courier, even though it's awfully expensive, I will courier to you the rest of the whatever the kit of nicotine patches." So now I was already in search of an answer, and I was already studying how the cigarette worked, right? When I went to affix this nicotine patch onto my shoulder, I read the instructions, and the instructions on the patch said, when you are after you apply the patch to your shoulder, do not wash your hands with soap. Okay, after you apply the patch on your shoulder, do not wash your hands with soap, because the soap will spread the nicotine on your fingers, and that will hurt the skin on your fingers. To me, that was a shocker. I never used the patch, but that was really something that hit me in the head, because if nicotine was doing this to my fingers, what was it doing to my innards? And then, of course, I decided that the only way to do it was brainwash myself. So whenever I used to feel, so then I understood actually that nicotine doesn't de-stress you. When you smoke, what you are doing is you're just feeding on the addiction that you have. So when your nicotine in your blood drops, it creates a stress. When you smoke and you give your blood the nicotine that it wants, your stress disappears and you feel relieved. But it's an artificial stress that you're creating because you're just not smoking. And guess what? The withdrawal symptoms that you feel when you don't smoke for a day should be ideally the same that you would feel when you take a long haul flight. So when you're flying from, say, Goa to the US, 16 hours, 18 hours, and you have no access to a cigarette, you live it. You just don't go around fretting and fuming because you don't have a cigarette. And that's the only withdrawal symptom that 90% of us get. Yes, there are 10% that it's different, but it's not difficult.
So basically, for you, it was a mental game.
For me and for everybody, according to me, at least for 90% of the people, it is a mental game.
So you would say if someone is a smoker, let's say he smokes, why 50 cigarettes? 50 cigarettes, let's say 20 because cigarettes are expensive today. So he wants to quit cigarettes. He has to use mind over matter.
Absolutely.
Can he do it overnight, or does it take, let's say, cut it to 10, then cut it to 5, then maybe 2, or did you just go? Can he just go cold turkey?
If I smoke, you are a doctor. If I were to smoke marijuana and want to give up, how would I give it up? Would you tell me to have one joint, 5 joints today, 2 joints next week, and 1 joint the week after next, or would you
Right.
tell me to take it?
I would tell you to just quit, but then I'm looking from inside the mind of a smoker.
No. So that's exactly the point, right? So when we are talking of smoking, nicotine is nothing more than just any other drug. Okay, it's same. Only the good part is that the withdrawal symptoms from nicotine are nowhere close to marijuana. They're simple. So you just stop it cold turkey. End of the story.
Okay. So
Never
you
use
heard it,
will,
guys.
never use willpower to stop smoking. Please remember that.
Okay. So you
Because your willpower is
just
not strong enough.
blindly stop.
Stop. After you brainwash yourself, you confirm what you want. See, you need to understand what the cigarette is doing to you, and you need to understand why it is that you are longing for that cigarette. And when you understand why you're longing for it, because you think you like it, but once you know that you don't really like it, because that's why you want to give it up, right? So you don't really like it, but it's holding you back because of this drug. And then you realize that the withdrawal symptom is not all that great, and you really don't have to get scared about it. I think then it's a matter of logical choice.
Thank you very much, Mario. So we use logical choice. You heard it, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
You heard it. We spoke about briefly on how to go about living a long life. And the gist of it was basically what health is. You have to understand that health is your physical well being, your mental well being, your social well being, and your spiritual well being. This is actually the definition of health. Okay. Also, in short, it is the absence of disease. Essentially, how do you feel the population by and large? Do you feel that in today's world, in India, by and large, we're not talking about individuals here. Do you feel that they enjoy good mental health?
I think
And it is a very grand general question. It's not an individual question. We've touched
no.
on this. We've
Yeah.
touched on this a little bit. Okay. So yeah, the mental is usually a manifestation of a physical well-being as well.
True.
So, as far as the mental health, are there two things you would advise people to do?
So again, mental health comes from where? Mental health comes from feeling safe, secure, and comfortable. Remember, we are a Stone Age body living in the space age. There's nothing that has changed in our body for the last 60,000, 70,000 years. So we still work by the system of when in fear, our body gets into fight and flight mode, right? Even today, unfortunately for us, when we see so many TV channels, when we see so much of news, what we're seeing on our mobiles, 90% of that is not necessarily very pleasant news. And when we see things that are bad most of the time, we get into this flight or fight mode, and our immune system closes because our body tells itself that if you're going to be eaten by a tiger tomorrow or today, why do we need to think of next year? So it just shuts down, and it sends all our energies into our limbs so that we can run, so that we can jump, so that we can fight back. And that's where our health drops because our immunity system drops. Does that answer
Right.
what you
Yes,
what?
absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And I think the bad news is much prevalent on social media today. And I think, as you said, if I tell you there are lilies around the corner, you wouldn't bother. But
True.
if you heard that there was a tiger around the corner, you would have probably perked your ears
Absolutely.
up and listened to
Correct.
everything, because it's the end of the day you have to stay safe. And in
Correct.
today's world of social media, if you look at your feed, you're only going to click in something with just bad news.
True, very true. And that's unfortunate, right? And because that's what we do, social media is forced to only put up bad news because nobody looks at the good news
Exactly,
any longer.
exactly, exactly. I know sometimes I have to clickbait with negative titles, though I don't want to do it. But if I told you there were lilies around the corner, you wouldn't watch my videos, would
I agree. I agree. I agree. That's part of the problem, right?
you? So one step I would think is stop watching the news.
Absolutely. And incidentally, I don't see the news. Okay,
Is
I
it?
see very little of the news because right through the news you're listening to people who have either killed somebody or raped somebody, or somebody has got raped, somebody has got robbed, somebody has cheated, and there's so much of good that's actually happening around the world, but it just doesn't
Which
come
we don't
on.
hear about.
Absolutely.
That's a great insight. That's a great insight. You once told me, and I think you mentioned it in your book as well. What is the deal with retirement?
You see,
Let me complete that question, because
sorry.
very often, once people retire, we see them going downhill very quickly.
Yes.
First, tell me, why do they go downhill so quickly? And then tell me about the story of retirement itself.
Okay, so why do people? Can I tell you the story of retirement and then tell you the rest?
Please,
Can I put it
please,
in the
please,
opposite?
please.
Okay, when we go back to around 1880, there was this German chancellor that was fighting for elections. This concept of retirement didn't exist, okay, till then. And the German chancellor was fighting for elections, which is back to the wall. He was going to lose. Simultaneously, there was the first industrial revolution that was getting set, and people were a little scared of speeds, and a lot of the older guys were getting injured and stuff like that. But it was never the case that the old were sent home. The old were revered, so they would, from one job they would move to another one which was less stressful, and so on and so forth, till they actually couldn't do anything more. So there was a German chancellor who was fighting for the elections, and he got into a tie-up with the communists. That was the only way he could win, and the communists said, we will support you provided you offer a stipend to all those people who are 65 and above, because they can't work in the factories any longer. So Chancellor von something Bismarck, he agreed, and that's how first started this thing called, it wasn't really called a pension, it was a stipend. So the older people went home, stayed at home, they got their stipend at home, and life went on. Till 1936, when President Roosevelt of the US, he realized that there were huge injuries. There was the meltdown of the economy in the Great Depression in 1920, 25, somewhere thereabouts. And then the second revolution, industrial revolution, came about, and machines were even faster. The old people getting more injured. So President Roosevelt said, okay, we will send these people who are more than 65 years, we'll tell them to stay at home and we will give them a pension. That's where the Social Security Act came about. This was in 1936. 65 was the retirement age. Today we are in 2024, and in India, 60 is the retirement age for most, and in some cases even 58. So how does that work? So when people are retired, what happens to them first psychologically, unfortunately, is they feel that they are being let off to pasture. So as far as they are concerned now, the only thing we can do is look after, or maybe if we have grandchildren, we are lucky. Otherwise, we just have to pass our time and bid our time, maybe pray and in a very good sense of the word. I'm saying this with no malice, with malice towards none. Go to church and pray, go to the temple and pray, go to the mosque and pray, whatever. But effectively now start turning our eyes onto the next world, so to say. What happens when they retire? All their social structures fall apart. So when I'm working, I have to get up at say 6 o'clock or 6:30 because I have to be at work at 8. Now suddenly I don't have to be at work at all. So I don't have to get up at 6:30. I don't have to brush my teeth at say 7 o'clock. And I definitely don't have to get out of home by 7:30. So what happens to me is I say, okay, I'm going to be around till 9, then I get up at 9. But why do I get up at 9? I can get up at 10 or 11. And you see, slowly we start getting depressed because we've got nothing to get up for. So we don't have a structure. We have no reason to wake up. And that's why people start falling off the cliff.
It's a very nice thought. It's a very nice thought. It's well put.
Yeah.
And I think this is a message, the youngsters, because the people who watch my channel, most of them are younger, send this message to your parents.
True.
Put this across them so that once they retire, tell them the story of how retirement came by. And then once they do retire, make sure that they have some purpose in life so they can keep going longer. Today, healthcare is advanced. It takes care of a lot of things. But if you get your basics together, if you get yourself some purpose and put that together with healthcare, it would ensure you a long life. A long life.
Rohan, if I may add to that, you see,
yes, please.
And give advice to these people that you are talking to these young men to carry to their parents. My father started the business that we currently run, a primary business, when he was 62. He was broke. Okay. He lived until 92. But I think one of the primary reasons he lived for long was because he fought his way through life. 62 people were retiring. People used to tell him, what is this nonsense you are doing at 62? You go and, stay at home and do the stuff that whatever, but just don't waste your time and your money. So if we can start living lives at 62 or at 60, we can start doing the things that we could never do before. 60 can become a new beginning of a new life for us.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I meant as purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not sitting and resting. It's It's about doing something even after you retire from your official job.
Absolutely.
Anything you would like to add to helping people have a long and healthy life?
I think the most important thing is to understand that when we don't take care of ourselves, we are probably earning today to pay our medical bills at a later date. When we realize this, and we realize the profundity of this statement that we are working today only to pay our medical bills at a later date, then we can start looking after ourselves so that rather than at a later date we pay our medical bills, maybe we can fly business class with the same money. But provided we take care of ourselves. And it's easy, it's very easy. So primarily, take care of your weight, take care of what you're eating, be happy mentally, be relaxed, and love. I think the most important thing is love. First, love yourself, and then love all those around you. And that's life.
And buy the book.
Yes, and it's all there. It's all there in the roadmap to
Links
longevity.
down in the description.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Big thank you to you, Mario Sequeira. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Rohan.
having you on the channel. And we hope seeing you in the future as well with some more good insights.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Rohan. It's been a privilege to be with you, and thank you for speaking to me.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.